Good afternoon and welcome everybody to tonight's episode. My name is Frank Salas. I go by the name The Talented Mr. Salas. I'm a man of many talents. I help you growth hack your social media. I am talking with a fellow growth hacker today, and I'm going to tell you how I found out our guest today, who's Mr. Chris Eggleston. So he goes by Chris Egg on Periscope, and I was using the new search function, the broadcast, where you can search the different hashtags. And he had a phrase that I was searching for. You know, I searched for growth hacking, training, social media, Pinterest, and then I see this video that not many people have viewed, and I watch it, and it was you breaking down the concepts of marketing on a white pad, and I'm like, this needs to be out into the marketplace. Why doesn't this guy have like an audience? Dude, I was cheering, I was like clapping when you were giving your presentation. It was just like so good. It was so good, man. So that's how I found you, Chris. I reached out to you on Twitter, and then we, I was like, let's do a blab, and here we are. So this is our first time meeting, and I just want to say you made a very strong impression with me, with the way you were conducting your trainings on your notepad. It's like a huge notepad.
Yeah.
So, Chris, tell the fine folk about yourself.
Yeah. So I'm Chris Eggleston. I'm moving locations. That chair is too comfy. I was afraid I was going to fall asleep. But no, so I've been in the industry now for 10 years, doing internet marketing. Started out just teaching myself how to build websites essentially, and over the years just evolved into marketing and doing a lot of fun stuff. And today I really focus on this concept of growth hacking, and really just trying to find ways to make improvements. And generally the idea is what experiment can we run? What one thing can we do to see if we can make some improvement across the board, or for one specific area within the business. And so just a lot of fun for me. I work with a lot of web professionals who are looking for ways to grow their businesses or just improve their business and attract more customers.
That's awesome. Initially, I knew you were going to have a lot of questions today because everybody loves growth hacking. Initially, the first question right out of the gate was somebody asking, can you describe what growth hacking is? And everybody has a different way of putting it. How do you put growth hacking?
Yeah, so I think the best way to look at growth hacking is it's experimental, right? So it's experimental, looking at two different things. Your marketing, and for me, I've been getting ready to launch a podcast called Marketing Draft for a long time. The whole idea is around this concept of taking your marketing ideas and how do you, instead of just building out a strategy and say, hey, let's go for that and hopefully it works, just implement some little things, right? Let's experiment with our marketing. But then the next step, which I think is even more important step, is looking at it from a product and service standpoint, right? What are your product and service offerings, and pushing that to an experimental level, right? We've heard about it. If you ever read Lean Startup, you heard about it as a minimum viable product, right? So it's a whole business model in of itself. But how do we take your product and service offerings, and if we're going to improve upon them, or we're starting out new, or we have new ideas, how do we take that and experiment with that concept before we roll out a full-blown product, right? So kind of a proof of concept to make sure things work. And so for me, that's what growth hacking is. It's a process of experimentation until you find out the perfect mix between your marketing and your product offering and your customer.
That's phenomenal. Where do you growth hack the most? Where do you spend most of your time growth hacking?
You mean on platforms, or?
Yeah, like which platforms, or like what areas, what sectors, maybe what kind of clients, or is it all over the place?
Used to be pretty much all over the place. Like I said, I focus more on the web professional now, and just trying to figure out. One of the things I really like to do is try and figure out how do you productize a service, right? If you're a consultant of some type, how do you productize what you do? Because if you look at products, people purchase products much more easier. I don't know how to say that, because they know the benefits, they know the features, and they know what to expect. They can do the research and see the reviews. But when it comes to a service, generally people have there's some unknowns because they're just not sure exactly what they're going to get. But if you can productize your service offering, it makes it so much easier, A, to market, but B, to just sell overall, because consumers can then go through the process of validating and proving that it's actually what they want themselves.
That's great. Chris, can you give us maybe a background of like how you got into marketing, you know, how long you've been in the game, what's your experience been with different clients and so on and so forth?
All right. Yeah. So it's been about 10 years. I started a long time ago. And my initial concept, my initial approach was, it was pre-2008. And so I was into writing, I was into blogging, and I just noticed that there was a little bit of a trend where some businesses were moving in the direction of adopting these blogs. But what I saw was an opportunity for smaller businesses to utilize blog content marketing essentially as a way to grow their business, a more affordable way, right? So for the first about 3 years in business, it was a complete failure. I was about 3 years ahead of the curve, but 2009. So after 2008, when everything fell apart, and businesses no longer had the budgets and the funds to be able to do the big marketing that they were doing, they were looking for alternatives. And so that's where I found my initial niche. Now, for those first 3 years, that's why I started learning to program and develop websites, because I needed to eat. And so nobody was interested in the blogging concept yet. So right. I did those things. But then in 2009 is really where the consulting and the marketing part took off, and helping people do content marketing. And then what was the other question? The other part of that question?
Yeah. Who are some of your first clients that you were serving? I know you had some like websites and some programming, but who are some of your first like marketing clients that you had?
My first ones. I don't know. At the beginning, it was just a smorgasbord. I worked with anybody I could. I had the mentality that, I had the mentality that niching was bad, right? Like if you niche, then you're going to miss out on all this opportunity. When in reality, and so I moved across the market. I did a lot in real estate, did a lot with construction, had some like landscape companies, a lot of just small businesses, small service type businesses. Later on, moved more towards trying to work with companies that were in the same industry, as far as like programmers and freelancers and things like that. And so I've worked in, if there's an industry, I've probably been in it at some level, helping some business.
That's cool, man. So one of the trainings that you were doing, and I've just like checked out a few of your stuff. One of the trainings that I saw though was you on the whiteboard, and you were like breaking down, man, it was like a high concept marketing thing that I would never even dare to say on live stream. But like you took us from like, algebra, and you just broke it down to like kindergarten math. It was just like, yo, if you guys don't watch Chris Egg on live stream, I aspire to teach these concepts the way that he breaks it down. And he's very visual when he does it. And it's like, here's the concept, here's a visual, and here's a story, and here's like the value. And I'm like, oh my God, that's phenomenal. So as a consultant, a lot of our job is a true consultant is to go get in, do the job, make sure our client's educated, and then leave. And of course, follow up and see how they're doing. Now, you and I both know that we are really passionate about marketing, and we go in there and we give them the works, and we tell them, you got to do this, you got to do that. But some people, that might not be their passion. They know they got to do it, but they're not taking the steps. What would you say to somebody that maybe has worked with a coach before, or maybe who hasn't, but maybe saw some tips from you and I, who are giving out value, and they did it once, they did it twice, they got some results from it, but they haven't got that consistency in it? How can you advise your client or potential client to work those things into their life and lifestyle?
Buffer recently, Buffer.com, the social media tool, they recently did a 30 days of what they call growth hacking. So essentially they just tried a whole bunch of different methods to improve following, improve engagement via social media. And really the ultimate result was that you just don't stop trying new things. right? You just continue to do something new, just continue to try new things, experiment, right? And so one of the things that gets difficult though is understanding the difference between just rapidly changing and actually looking for those results. Right? I've worked with people who think, okay, well, I need to experiment, so I give it a week, right? I implement it a week. And really, what kind of data can you really get after a week that's going to give you an ability to make a smart decision, right? So, give it some time so you can gather the data and make sure that it's not going to generate the results that you want. But number one, in order to get the results, you have to know exactly what the result is that you want. And I think one of that first video, I think where you found me, was where I was talking about the two most important things that you need to start with is who is your target market and what result do they need, or another way to ask it is what result can you provide them, right? And so you have to knock that down so specific that when you meet somebody on the street, you know that is your ideal customer, right? Because they just look like it, or because they're in the right place, and then be able to present that result and help them achieve that result. But really, results come from testing, reviewing the data, and then making a change, and again, just going through that process. And if you're not getting the results, you have to look at what is your process and how much time are you giving it? How much effort are you putting into these little experiments? When we do conversion optimization, one of the things that we do is every month we pick a new experiment. Okay, so we'll say, well, we want to see if we can improve the click-through rate on this button, right? Maybe it's a button to a specific landing page, right? Because we're trying to drive traffic a certain direction. So we'll change the color, or we'll change the text on the button, and see if we can improve that conversion or that click-through rate. And we give it a full 30 days. We look at the analytics at the end of that 30 days and say, okay, well, either the new test wins, or we stick it with the other way, or maybe we still think we can get a better result, so we do another experiment. So we flip this time. Instead of doing the text, we change the color, and then run it for another 30 days. Right, so just little experiments like that. So you really have to find out, if you're talking about your website or your social media, you have to figure out what's the result that you want. If you're just trying to grow an audience, right, you just want to grow an audience and have lots of engagement in that platform, then be testing the types of things that you're sharing, how often you're sharing, what time you're sharing. Are you sharing most of your own content, or are you sharing, are you just repurposing a lot of other people's content? So did that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. And so much more. I wanted to break down a little bit for everybody listening to this, who might not be having your stature in marketing, and not many people do, not many people have about, 10 years in marketing and doing this stuff. So you're blowing some minds right now. And I love how you use the word experimenting. That's just so well put. And what you described, some people might call split testing. Some people might call A/B testing. But for growth hackers, it's like, hey, what can we do with this? You're just like, I'm going to pick that. And it's such a growth hacker thing to do. Is like, there's some days where I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting that much engagement on my Pinterest right now. I'm just going to try some stuff out, and things just really, really jump out there. Can you maybe break down a specific example of something on social media for people that, or for one of your clients, for yourself, that you just tested and maybe replicated? And what, I'm going to give you some time to think about that. And while you do, I'm going to break down a story on one of mine. So, 3 Thursdays ago at 10:48 Central Standard Time in the morning, I did a broadcast, and I had 700 replay viewers through the Periscope application. I used certain hashtags, and I used certain emojis, and I also uploaded to Twitter and used my location. And I've never had over like 700 replay viewers, check me out. So I thought that was really interesting. And so what I did is I went to www.fullscope.tv, and that's an analytics tool that's complimentary through Periscope. And I was able to see, who watched the replays, how long did they stay, when did they log off, and so on and so forth, how many hearts did they give. And from that, I was able to decide that on this day, at this time, with these types of emojis, for whatever reason, I just get like an extra 30% more live viewers and an extra 80% more replay viewers. I don't know why. It just is that way for me. I tried it with different clients. Same concept, doesn't work for them, but it works that way for me. So that was the importance of me experimenting with myself, other clients, other emojis, other times. And that's how I growth hack myself. And I take the high points. I take the high points and I focus and I double down that way. So maybe you can give us some examples of something like that you've done in social media.
Yeah. So just a thought came to mind. One of my long time ago clients, and really for me, it's always thinking outside the box, right? Don't really want to use any platform the way everybody uses it. Want to do something creative and think outside the box. And one of the things I do is always ask, like, so if I'm working with a client, how are your customers using it, right? How are they using this platform? What's the demand that they have? Are they just looking at it? For me, like Twitter, like for me is huge. To just find new ideas and new information, right? Like it's really hard to have a conversation on Twitter because it's so rapid. There's so much information. It's overload, but you can find a lot of great information there. It's a great search tool, right? But then you look at like Facebook. Facebook, you can get a lot more engagement on Facebook because it's more of a personable platform. And so, it's just what do your consumers want, and then you fill in that demand, right? So that's the kind of content you deliver to them. Like for example, my wife, the only reason she has a Pinterest account, and she doesn't even know what it is outside of this, she probably thinks it's just for recipes, but she just goes on there to find recipes, and that's it. That's what she'll do. Like 3 times a day, every time before we eat, or if she feels like she needs to make a snack, she'll go home Pinterest and try to find some recipe, and that's all she does with it. Nice. And so for me, if I was gonna do something in that niche, right? If I had a customer or a client that was doing a certain health food or anything like that, if I was doing stuff like that, then I would use Pinterest kind of for that same concept, and maybe find a way to tweak it and improve upon what's already done. Like I'm a big fan of modeling. You find what works and you model it. And then once you've either broken even or started to make some profit from modeling what's already working, then you enhance, then you try to improve upon it. Then you start implementing those little experiments to get to the next level. But another example, so we had a client that wanted to use Facebook to really grow a community. It was in the music industry. They had come up with a little gadget for holding a guitar. Okay, nice. and it's just a very simple product, but a huge market because there's a lot of people who play the guitar, love music, and things like that. And so, what they wanted to do is to build a community on Facebook, and one of my problems was they wanted to measure likes. They wanted to measure page likes, right? And so for me, I always want to look for results that go a step further. Like what's the revenue? Okay, maybe looking how are we driving this increase in traffic? How are we driving it to a measurable result like revenues? Okay, So I look at I take we just want to improve likes. We want to get to 10,000 likes in a couple of months, right? So that was kind of the objective. And so what I did was we just decided that we were going to do this tour type idea. And so they gave away a bunch of these products and then encouraged people by doing competitions and awards and things like that through the platform to take pictures and videos of how they're using the product. And then they got to 10,000 likes pretty quick. But what I was very disappointed in was we didn't move any of those likes or very few of those likes to actual revenue, right? So we had a huge fan base, but by this time there was no return yet. And so then it was, okay, well, now we got to figure out what we did wrong. Like, why didn't we get the return? Right? Why weren't there those revenue numbers that we wanted? And so then you go in and you find ways to, now that you have this huge audience, you find ways to leverage that audience to get to that ultimate goal.
I think that's a phenomenal story. I think that's great. And For me, I like to think on the positive side. And if you get like 10,000 likes, I mean, that's a pretty dang good job. That's pretty dang good, but there's no money being made at the end of the day. But that's just kind of like the next part of our job. Like, people come up to us all the time. They're like, we want to make money. We want to make money. We're like, do you have a following? Do you have a product? Do you know your value? Have you identified your target follower? Have you done market research? Do you know what's working in your industry or not? People are like, no, that's your job. Here's some money. Go do it. And I'm like, all right, cool. Can you like point me in the right direction? And I feel like so many people are so misguided in their value to the marketplace. They're so misguided on who their follower is. And that, for me, I have an intensive course, a school that I founded called the Talent School, where I help those that have subject matter expertise offline really translate that into online prosperity through this program. The first day is about finding out your value. The second day is finding out your target follower. The third day is market research. And then the fourth day, we jump into content strategy and how to go in behind that. So can you maybe zone in on how important it was for you to grow that page to 10,000 likes with having your target follower identified?
Yeah. So that we would not have reached 10,000 as quickly as we did if we weren't able to identify, again, like if we met them on the street, we would know that they were our golden customer. We wouldn't be able to do it as fast if we couldn't put who they were. Now, luckily, the creators of this product, the owners of the company, were musicians themselves. Nice. And used to be in bands and used to do behind the scenes work. And so they knew how to speak and how to talk and how to walk like a musician. And so with that, we were able to put together a persona and really identify who these people were. And then we could do all the marketing stuff. But yeah, if we just said, I'm going for 10,000 likes and everybody is my target market, and I'll just throw this out there on Facebook and the right people will find it. Wrong approach, because it doesn't work. You'll just lose money. But again, and although my measurement was results and revenues, for me, they still lost money right at the start, because my goal was to at least break even in their marketing costs. But they were happy because they hit their 10,000 and they wanted to know that they could build a community online so that they could then take it offline and build a community as well. And that's what was most important to them. And so it just validated their product and what they were doing.
I love it. So how did you take those 10,000 likes and how did you start generating revenue with that?
Just different approaches. Really, taking them from Facebook to other platforms. Doing a promotion. Come follow us over here. What they ended up doing after me, once I separated from them, one of the things they ended up doing was doing a live tour where they set up an actual tour and they drove around and put on little concerts and sold their product on site. The other thing we did was we used the social proof in the Facebook likes and all the other social media following. We used all that social proof to go to music stores and show them that, look, we have this huge following, so this product is going to move. And we had some online sales, but having this huge social proof around the product meant that people wanted to put it on the counter in the store. And they loved that it was a local company and that it was American-made product and all these things. And so we took a lot of that social proof offline to help grow that way.
I love it. I absolutely love it. With being in growth hacking, with being in marketing, and there's different ways to market. You seem to have a lot of knowledge, social media, blogging, offline, so on and so forth, websites. I'm assuming SEO and just, in the works. One thing that I really don't cover that the Talent Tribe would really value from is blogging. Tell us about that. Like I currently don't have a written blog that I do. I do Periscopes. My virtual assistants will watch my Periscopes. They'll transcribe what I say. They'll break it down. I'll maybe do some once-overs on it, throw some emojis on there because people are speaking emojis these days. And then we throw it out into the world. It gets curated. It goes viral. I use Pinterest to promote my stuff. And that's how I grow my following and repurpose my content. But I don't necessarily do the old school, all right, I'm gonna talk about this today and write that kind of stuff out, which is cool if people do. I just don't do that, but I do see the value in that, and I do see the value in blogging. Can you maybe educate myself and also the Talent Tribe with the value of blogging?
Yeah. So when we talk SEO and things like that, right? So one of the most powerful things about blogging consistently on a regular basis is your organic ranking, right? So if we think about, and I just had this conversation yesterday, but somebody had just come to realization of what Google was and what their ultimate goal was, right? Like now that it's been like however long that they've been dominating the internet. But if you look at Google, what are they, right? They're just a search engine. That's it. And so what is their ultimate goal? The ultimate goal is to provide the best result, the best answers to your questions, to deliver the best tutorial, to deliver the best content that they possibly can. And that's how they outperform everybody else. And that's why there's all these algorithm changes all the time, because they're finding new ways to improve upon that and to block those that are trying to beat the system, obviously. But really, if you can consistently produce content that lots of social proof, lots of commenting, lots of shares and reshares and the backlinks, all those things still apply. And then the most important part of your content is making sure that your writing is copywriting, right? That you're writing good copy. You're using the old school copywriting techniques, because that's all SEO is taking those techniques and putting them on the web. And so understanding some very basic things, having a good headline that has your keyword in it in the first paragraph, making sure your keyword is in the first paragraph. Online, making sure that there's a link in that first paragraph, and just making that first paragraph the hook, right? Bringing it in, and then just running through any type of copywriting that you would normally do. But once you get in the habit of producing consistent content, and you're getting the social proof and you're getting the activity, Google then wants to say, hey, you're going to make us look good, so I'm going to give you more credit. And even if you're not doing a whole bunch of SEO to the entire website, right? Because there's your article SEO, right? The page SEO, but then there's site SEO, site optimization as well. And you want those things to work together. You wouldn't have a website that was about Britney Spears and then talk about I don't know,
Justin Bieber.
Yeah. Right. Well, not even that close, because it's still the same industry, right? Like, take it outside even further to ice cream.
Nice. I got you.
Right. So that you may write content about SEO, but you focus all your other stuff on Britney Spears. I don't know why Britney Spears, but that's what came to mind. So then you don't have the connection between site optimization and content optimization, right? So that will penalize you. But yeah, I mean, the best thing about written content is there are people all day long, millions and millions of searches every single day, looking for answers to their problems, looking for ways to improve upon something. And by constantly putting out that content in the handwritten form is really where you're going to get that organic rank and reach that other people who maybe are just strictly video, or who are just strictly audio, right? There's got to be that good mix, and that's your transcribing thing is brilliant. I feel sorry for your assistants to learn writing. But the transcribing thing is brilliant, because you can do that with anything. And I have an app on my phone, which I don't even know where that is, but and I can't remember the name of it. But you can record right into this app on your phone, and then you just click transcribe, and it sends the audio to this company, and they transcribe it and then send it back to you, right? Nice. So it's brilliant, and it's well done when it comes back. And then so if you're doing a podcast, an audio podcast, then you can just take that recording, put it on the page, but now you have this transcript to put on the page as well. So you get that same benefit of having that written content on the page to help boost the ranking and boosting your credibility with Google, for example.
I dig it. This has been a phenomenal broadcast. At this time, I want us to open up the hot seat for anybody that wants to jump in. We're still gonna talk about any stuff, but if you have any marketing need, or if you want to have any questions answered that are still unclear to you, on my podcast, every time we jump on, we always put our money where our mouth is. And if you need some kind of, tip, nugget, whatever, jump on in, hit join us live. For those of you guys who are watching us on the replay, make sure you follow us on Blab so you can catch us live, as well as Periscope. Lots of things are live, and the power of live stream is the engagement that you get. We got Daniel Roberts, we got Isaac Aviles, we got Sterling on here, who just quit her job 2 weeks ago, and she's a professional paid speaker. We got Alex Bartolomeu. We got Richard in the Real Estate Tribe, Claudia Santiago. We got Annette, Sunshine Lady, out in Munich, Germany right now. Thomas Clark. Who else? Oh, we have Mallory. Mallory, jump in here. Mallory's always asking me questions about marketing, and I would love to get her in here to come on there. So if you guys want to jump on and get in the hot seat, we can go from there. I have a question. So, the internet constantly changes. Web 2.0, is almost fully done. People are talking about Web 3.0, Twitter 3.0. And what do you think about where the internet is going? Where are we headed?
Me?
Yeah.
I think it's only going to become a bigger part of our daily life, right? Like, for the millennial, it is, right? I think there's a lot of areas that still need some growth, some attention, that just haven't taken off and just haven't adopted a community around. But really, and I think too, part of the thing. And the way I kind of look at it is, the internet is a tool, and we can do a lot of different things with it. And I think it expands outside of just the web, but goes down into, what can we do? How can we make things cooler, better, more functional, more accessible through using this internet tool that gives people access to all this information, all this content, and then how do we break that down into a smaller product, right? Leveraging this tool, how do we break that down into a smaller product or service that helps people get results and improve their life or improve their business, whatever it is. But as far as where it's going, I don't know. I know there's a lot that can happen, a lot that can be done. And we have the Internet of Things, and people are constantly just thinking of new ways again to utilize this ginormous tool, but bringing it down into a simple product that improves our everyday life. And so really, I think one of the things too that I think about is, so I have a company that I work with. They do mobile applications, and so their concept is always based around something social. So when they go in to a company to identify problems that a company has and how do we solve that problem, they look at it from a customer first perspective, right? And say, okay, if I'm the customer, where's the pain points in this problem, and then how can we alleviate those pain points? And a lot of what they do is social based, right? Like, how do we use the community or the customers or the fans of this company to solve this problem, right? So how do we engage them socially? And really, it's just taking this big internet concept and breaking it down into a smaller product that the company can now put out there for their users to use and better their lives and improve their engagement with this company. And so, I don't know that the internet's going to change much, but what we do with it and how we access it and use it is really where I think the goal is again, thinking outside the box and how we can take advantage of this ginormous tool to create something awesome to solve our target market's problems and improve people's lives.
I love it. That's great. I feel like the internet's going to get smoother. The internet is going to get easier. And more like apps. So like I'm on my computer right now, and it's easier to log into Blab on this thing as opposed to is on my computer. Just because it's just click this, do that, not a lot of typing, not a lot of clicking. So I feel like it's going to get more simpler, more tabletized, if you will, if that's even a word, more mobile friendly. But we have a question from one of your longtime supporters, and this is his first time on Blab as well, Tom Ortega. He wants to know, what are your passions?
This is really like what I love.
Yeah.
Like being able to, and like last night, I had a late night meeting with a local business, and just sitting down and being able to hear what his struggles are and what his goals are, and then having ideas, like just being able to sit there and just be like, have these ideas pop into my head, and then just to be able to bring them out to him in a way that shows that, look, not only do I understand these pain points and these goals, but I have these ideas that will help you do it. And then being able to have examples, right, of how I've helped and how it's been done before and how easy it is to do and the benefits. So for me, my real passion is around this concept of, just taking the knowledge that I've had over the years and sharing it with people. The hard part is finding people who care and finding people who will actually take that information and implement it into their lives and see the results. Because just sharing it is great, but I want to hear people's success as well, right? I want to see them actually implementing and see things improving and growing in their life or in their business. But really, I would say my biggest passion is just in helping people in any way really that I can, as far as them growing their business, improving their lives, by attaining the lifestyle that they want, for the reason that they started their business, right? We get so bogged down by, one of my pet peeves is, in the small business world, we get so bogged down by chasing the next paycheck that we forgot about the dream. We forgot about why we started the business and why we wanted time freedom and all those things to begin with. And just helping people get to those realities again, bring their dreams back and start living a better, more, and I don't like to say balanced life, but just a more full, complete life.
I love it. I love it. We got one more question, and I want to close this out with the question that I have for you. So, Richard Recuset, who's in the real estate family here on live stream, he wants to know, or he says, text is yesterday's news and video is in. What say you?
I don't think text is done yet, by any means. And I know that, I know that there's ways to optimize video for search and all that's been taken care of. I mean, with Google and YouTube but you'd be surprised. Run an experiment, right? Is what it's all about. Run an experiment. Find out what your audience wants. Find out if they want both, right? Sometimes we think a video tutorial is all that they're going to need because it makes it easier. Mm-hmm. But sometimes people get frustrated by the video tutorial because they have to pause it, try to rewind it just a little bit.
Right.
And it's difficult. They go too far and they have to watch again. Then they get distracted. Then they miss the part again. So they have to rewind it again and try again, right? But if they had a tutorial that was just lined out, image, text, image, text, image, text, then it makes it easier. And even if you can connect, and we've done this before, you can connect the written tutorial to the timestamp in a video, right? So then it makes it easier. We click on this section and it automatically takes them to the timestamp in that video, right? And so there's things like that, but you would be surprised at how many people still appreciate the fact that the text is there. So I don't think it's done, and I would never recommend that anybody not do content, text content marketing.
Nice. I'm trying to get Mal to jump in at Mischievous Mal. She asks, advice for a quirky gal that is starting her own digital marketing business consultant in a very conservative environment. She's calling in right now.
Okay.
She calls herself a digital media maverick. She's a New York University alum, a gym bunny, and she's a touchdown dance choreographer.
So it's always a really big deal down here when
And I hit accept, and I'm just waiting for Blab to have her come through. Yeah, it just says, hey, see if you can try to call back in. Maybe refresh your browser, Mal, or try to call back in. We're doing this live, by the way, guys. Let's see. There she comes. There we go.
I'm getting gas right now.
Mal, what up?
How are you, guys?
We're doing good. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm coming live from the gas station, but
Yo.
I'm not gonna miss the opportunity to talk to two guys and know what they're doing. You know,
Absolutely. It's our pleasure to serve you. I love your shades, by the way. What part of the world are you in?
Thank you. I'm in the Bible Belt, Oklahoma.
Oh,
Good
nice.
old Oklahoma.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm in Austin, Texas. Chris, where are you?
I'm in Arizona.
Nice.
I know,
Cool.
Frank. I see your snaps, and it makes me so wildly jealous that you're in Austin because that's the place to be.
Yeah, Austin's awesome. So Mal, tell us where your business is right now.
Okay. So, I'm just kind of an oddball in and of itself. But in Oklahoma, it seems like they're very behind on the times, to put it. And so I'm having a lot of trouble meeting organizations that are kind of, they just don't get social media here. They think they love like local, radio and things like that. They're just so behind. So I'm just wondering what advice you would have for somebody in my disposition. So I'm still working on my website, and it's up, but there's so much to it. And I've been reaching out to a couple businesses and things like that. But I don't know. I have ADHD also, so that doesn't make it easy to be on the executive side and like starting my own business. That sounds crazy. People would go, "Are you crazy?" But I do think it's like I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and do my own thing. So just curious what your advice might be.
So Chris, what do you got for her?
Well, my first question would be, what's your differentiating factor? Like, what can you bring to a company that they couldn't find somewhere else?
Well, I think right now I'm not looking to gain or take on, a ton of clients. Like, I'm really just want to focus on a few. I used to work for a marketing agency, and
Digital or print?
Digital. And I just didn't like the way they treated clients, which was basically to get like a quantity of clients and then like deliver as little as possible while still trying to maintain the semblance of that they were doing something. So I'd say like I offer quality over quantity. I mean, right now I'm not looking to charge a ton. But I think also that I'm just a very creative, out of the box thinker. That's what growth hacking is like specifically appealing to me, like the notion of experimenting and doing things. Because like you were saying, like my mind runs like a million miles a minute. And so to just have that, to be able to think of ideas, like sometimes they're crazy, but like I think I offer a lot of out of the box perspective on how to target, how to reach a target market and do it in a creative way that really galvanizes a lot of attention and exposure. And I also really care about the customer relationship, like the relationship and with the community as well. So I just feel like I have a lot to offer, a lot of experience and entertainment and different things. And I wish I was somewhere more like Austin or LA or New York. Somewhere back there, it would be a lot easier for me to fit in.
So what kind of clients are you approaching or hoping to work with?
I think I would love to work with like talent agencies. There are not many here, but there are some, with the actors that hire actors and things like that. Maybe work to do both the agency and some of the actors or the people that are looking to be casted. I've kind of recently thought that might be a good blend.
Okay, so you would work with them to help build an identity, a personal brand for these for their clients, or would you work to
yes,
help them target?
For both the clients and then also the agency itself.
Okay. Do those really even exist in Oklahoma?
There's like a few. There's like a couple. I don't know how many. I don't think they're garnering in many clients, but there's been some recent TV ongoings in Oklahoma, but
I can imagine they probably do some professional bull riding stuff, those agencies. So if
actually,
you want to
that
work
would
with,
be really fun. I want to work with a rodeo clown.
right, work with the cowboys, or yeah. So I guess getting to it, really, I think you need to define those two things: the who and the what. So who do you want to work with, and what results are you going to bring them? And really drill down into the specifics, right? Like it's one thing to say that I can help you get a bigger audience on social media, but really, like, get more specific, niche into that, and really find out, like, it's not just about an audience, right? I'm going to help you build a community, right? I'm going to help you build a bunch of loyal fans who, no matter what happens to you, no matter where you go, no matter what type of movie or TV show or how hard that bull stomps on your head, they're going to love you and they're going to care about you, right? Like, no matter what. Like, so you know, those that's really kind of how you have to be thinking is why can you help them better than anybody else? And I think the quirkiness and anything like that just adds to your personality and who you are is a huge benefit, especially in Oklahoma, because you know you're I've been there and a lot of times, and I know people from there, so I understand that, you know, it's different, and I don't necessarily think wishing that you were somewhere else like Austin or LA is necessarily ideal, because then you have a whole bunch more competition. And just starting out,
oh yeah,
right?
Actually, that's a good point.
Just starting out, you're still trying to figure out things. But if you can kill it in Oklahoma, if you can get those two agencies to take you on and to just be their person, you may never have to leave, but you could get to the point to where you could go anywhere and demand anything that you want, right? Because you killed it.
That is excellent advice.
Right. But I think you still really need to work on the who and the result, the what you can bring.
So really look to really define and like maybe even write it down and like
of course,
really
yes.
work on coming up with a definitive answer as to why work with me. Like, what do I have to bring to the table? Because that's
what results are you bringing them? And because you're going to need that information anyway, because that's the only way you're going to make your website effective.
Yes, from the copy on my website. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. And don't get caught up in chasing the check, right? Because people will find you and they'll want you to come do this or that for them. And you'll think, okay, well, you know, it's related to social media or it's related to marketing. I can do it. But if it doesn't keep you on your path, then what's going to happen is you're going to veer off, and you may just veer off 1%, but if you stay along that path, that just grows and grows, and your distance from what your dream and what your goals are just completely changes.
I love it.
Absolutely. I 100% agree. And I'm going to give you a different perspective. First and foremost, you have mad swagger, and there's probably not many people like you out in Oklahoma. I know, because I go to Oklahoma. I don't meet people like you when I go out there, you know? So I would leverage that. I would double down on that. I would join a chamber of commerce. I would join professional organizations. I would probably start speaking and say, hey, I might not be like the world's best expert, but I know more than you guys, and I want to show you the value. And so in my school of thought, it's give value, serve, and then ask for business. So the serve part for you would be going to their place. And like, I go to sushi shops here all the time. I love sushi. And I'm like, hey, are you guys, I don't see you guys on Twitter. Can I, do you have a different handle? Can I tag you guys? I'm about to go live on live stream and just talk about how I'm having sushi and sake, one of my clients. They're like, what's live stream? We don't have Twitter. And I'm like, cool. I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to go ahead and tag your neighbor who has, that, and I'm going to tag them and do the live stream. So when people jump on, I ask my followers to share that. And this neighbor is like in real time getting their phone blown up saying, oh my God, there's people coming in from. And then I go on Periscope and I'm like, hey guys, where are you guys logging in from? You know, we got Annette out in Munich. We got Rax out in Sydney. You know, we got South Africa. We got all these different places. Like, now that's the kind of power that I can get you. That's just a quick demonstration of value. And that's just, it's like a caveman around the fire. They're like, ooh, 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 ooh. They're just like really excited about it, but they don't understand it. And you have to break it down. Like Chris does a great job of making them understand what that is. And then you be of value to them. You don't ask them for business. Like Chris was saying, you don't chase the check. You're just like, I'm here to serve you. And if you want to go down this path, let me know. And so for me on social media, what I do is I help people specifically like you who have all the talent, but want to become thought leaders. That's my thing. I serve those with talent and I transform them into thought leaders. I say that every day on my Snapchat that you check out because it's true. Somebody like you who has all the intangibles, who just needs some tweaking in the right way, would really dominate specifically on live streaming and specifically in social media. And the first thing that I have people do when I work with them, or even if they go through any of my trainings that are mostly complimentary, is number one, day one of the talent school is find your value. What is your value to the marketplace? How do you make people's lives better? What value do you bring to any and all situations? The second thing is, like Chris has been saying, is find your target market. I like to go a little bit deeper on social media. And again, this is on social media. I like to talk about your target follower. You know, who do you want to work with? Who do you want to follow you? How do you want to have that relationship, and so on and so forth. So I would leverage the advantage that you have in Oklahoma where nobody else is doing that. I'm not sure if you've heard of a blue ocean strategy. Are you familiar with the term? So, and that's okay.
I'm not.
It's a cool term. It's an MBA term. They wrote a book about it. A blue ocean means that there's no sharks in the ocean. A red ocean means that there's a bunch of sharks in the ocean and they're eating. And you want to be the first shark in a blue ocean, which it sounds like you are in Oklahoma. And now you have schools of fish to go out and devour everywhere. And then you just drop it on them. And you said something earlier that was like, I don't want to charge a lot. I don't know about Chris. I charge a lot. Working with me minimum is a minimum 5-figure investment. Like, I bring a lot of value to people's lives. I change people's lives. I get people books, sponsorships. I get them into fashion events. One of my clients just had a licensing agreement, a sponsorship agreement from a fashion company, and they flew her out to London and they threw a fashion show in her honor. And they gave her a paycheck to go there. So, I mean, that's the kind of value that I bring to people's lives. So, yeah, I don't have a problem charging my fee because I change people's lives. And that's because I know my value. I know my value to the situation. And I'm sure Chris is the same way. Like, I would never come to Chris and be like, yo, can I get a discount? He'd probably be like, come on, dude. You know, it's like, I'm here to help you out. I'm about to change your life. I'm about to bring your sales up. You know, like, do you want to handle this? This is the fee. If not, that's cool. Check out my complimentary trainings. When you're ready, when you change your mindset, you know, let's work together. And in Oklahoma, you're going to get a lot of people who are like, I've been doing business in the phone book for 50 years. My daddy was on the phone book. My mom was on the phone book. And we're going to do this thing on the phone book. But you're like, well, now the phone book is ghost codes. The ghost what? And then you got to drop ghost codes to them and be like, oh, man, you know, and that's going to be a different conversation. And you're going to have to give more value and serve more to those people and be very hands-on and like put your arm around them, do the clicking for them, make sure that they know how to use that. And then I promise you that culture, that community, because I'm from Texas, I'm from Fort Worth. I'm not that far from Oklahoma. I used to drive up to WinStar and Turner Falls to go have fun up there. You know?
I love that.
So I know the deal in your hood. So when you get into that, you know, Southern, you know, Bible Belt community and you serve one person, they're going to say, well, gee, golly, Molly over here, she done hooked my social media up. And you're going to get referrals all day, you know?
Yes, very word of mouth. There's a lot of word of mouth. So I really appreciate that, guys. Great advice. Thank you so much for everything. I've learned so much today. Thank you.
I would just add 2 things to that. Just will feed off of 2 things. So with the value added content that Frank talked about, like you would never have to do sales, period, if your content just constantly showed your expertise and your ability to get results, right? So you may go in and try to sell them, but they may not listen to you. But if you could put them into an email list and just drive them to your result-centered content, then eventually they just can't say no anymore. They're going to see that and realize that they suck and that they need help. And then they're going to come back to you, right? So So, and then pricing is a whole other topic, but pricing is all about posture and confidence, right? If you don't believe that you're worth $5,000 a month or whatever the price is, if you don't believe that you can get that, then you won't. And you'll always say things like, well, normally I'd do $5,000, but for you, I'll do $1,500, right? And then you're always going to cut yourself short, because what will happen is somebody like you will always put in the $5,000 value at the $1,500 price, and you will hate your life. I promise you. I did that. I did that for 3 years. Okay, I totally get it. So just make sure that when you start out, you do the pricing right, and two, just look at your competition. Even if they're not in Oklahoma, just look at your competition, people doing what you're doing, and then look at what those agencies or whatever your target market is, what kinds of fees you could probably get them to pay. And then always go high, because if you're at a big level, like a big agency, you're always going to have negotiation. So just always start high so that you have some room.
Love it.
But never go below your value.
Love it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Mal, you're awesome. Thanks for jumping in. We had a great blab today with Mr. Chris Eggleston. Chris, where can the fine folk find you?
Well, at Chris Egg on Twitter. You got me at chriseggleston.com or chrisegg.com. If you go to marketingdraft.com, we have a landing page up there with a couple samples of the content we'll be delivering through Marketing Draft. Again, all about experimenting. So if you head there, and you can subscribe to that, so I can let you know when you can really subscribe on iTunes. But that's it, chrisegg.com and Chris Egg on Twitter.
That's phenomenal, guys. And if you can catch Chris on Periscope, man, he's going to blow your mind. Please do more of those trainings. The marketplace needs that kind of stuff. Like, I do the bubblegum pop stuff. Like, hey, who wants to figure out how to grow their Instagram stuff? And you're like, who would like to convert and make $1 million today? It's like, let's do that training.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
It's fun.
Cool, guys. That was Chris Eggleston. You can find him everywhere at Chris Egg. My name is Frank Salas. And if you want to work with me and be a part of my inner circle, go to facebook.com, search for Talent Tribe. Look me up everywhere on social media at Talented Mr. Salas. My Snapchat, like Mal was saying, in Oklahoma, showcases my lovely city of Austin, Texas. And I showcase my travels, as I am a digital entrepreneur. And I wanted to just simply encourage you to be the best version of yourself. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Thanks.